Okay, all you.
All right. Thank you, Team Kluber, for inviting us to help you. And we know you're very busy, which explains the 10 minutes you gave us to talk to you about what the problems are.
20. Oh, you mean earlier.
Earlier. Yeah. Nevertheless, you gave us 1 million rows in a database, so we can look at some of your data there and draw some conclusions. So what those conclusions are, to make this quick, because we do have some products to show you that will help deal with your problems. We saw 3 major areas where you have problems, and we're showing you challenges as we understood them, and IBM solutions at a high level, because IBM, as you know, can solve your problems a myriad of different ways, and we really didn't have enough time to find out what would necessarily be best. So we just covered it at a high level. First, you say from litigation, your costs are growing out of control, and you need to save money. You figure if you cut costs 10%, you could save $85 million in 5 years. A very significant amount of money. You've got no insights as to why this is growing. Just costs keep going up. And you've got so many cases you really don't know what to focus on. IBM solutions can help you determine where the problem's occurring. So perhaps you talked about doing surcharges to cover high-risk rides. We can, believe it or not, help you make better drivers by appealing to the native human emotion of greed. By looking at what they're doing and what's happening, you can offer incentives. You can also help you profile what makes a good driver, so you don't hire guys with marijuana leaves on their t-shirts. That's just not a good idea. Finally, when it comes down to all these cases you've got and your army of lawyers we have on retainer, by the analytics we can provide, we can help you look at, do what's called early case assessments. You can decide, settle, or litigate. And while it's refreshing, you always say we should fight to the death for honor's sake when we're right. Truthfully, in a money-driven economy, you haven't got the time or money to do that. In some cases, you just take the hit and walk on. Your IT staff, especially your wildly overworked DBA back there, is just having all sorts of problems. Your costs are, see now this is the problem. This is when you're editing things at the last minute in 10 minutes. We have to work backwards here. I pasted the wrong thing here. So, wow, oh, that's right. No, that's right. No, that's right, that's wrong. No, whatever, we'll figure it out. Here, we'll work backwards. Our solution says you need cloud storage. Your problem was that your data is growing too fast, you don't know what to do with it, you got too much of it. Our cloud storage is scalable. It performs well, it's elastic, it's very cost effective. We said you need lifecycle management to reduce costs and legal exposure. The reason, which isn't here, which is cut out, was because your data quality is, so we put it mildly, suspect. You just don't know what you've got. You've got to figure out, get the right things in there, impose some governance, cleanse the data. You're not having garbage in, garbage out. Actually, I was talking about number 3, not number 2. Finally, content management, structured and unstructured. What do those technical terms mean? You mentioned dash cams and videos of accidents. You've got terabytes of data that you really can't throw in a database. You just can't throw it in a file system. You need a system that will manage that for you to ensure that you've got it under full legal control, full lifecycle governance, and you can also get rid of it when you need to. Most importantly, you've got business problems. You're growing like mad. You're a growing company. But right now, you have no social media awareness. And that's really important for a consumer-driven company. IBM has relationships, and in fact, we just purchased a weather company, weather.com. We have relationships with Twitter. We can tie that together and give you a unified view of the analytics so you can see what data relates to what. You have no public sharing of information to promote your brand. What we're proposing is to use our tools to have dashboards that are both public and private that give you aggregations of data, but not the raw data that could, open the door and provide bad things. You don't have a 360-degree view of the drivers, performance, safety, timeliness, getting back to what we said about incentives. You can expand, with our tools, you can expand your driver mobile app to let them know their performance, let them know how they're doing. Again, tie the incentives back so they're getting feedback. Finally, you have no quick access to public issues when you have bad publicity. Your CIO was saying, or CEO was saying that just that morning, he'd gotten beat up by the press because there was some horrible accident he knew nothing about. We can take those feeds and tie them to alerts. so you know about breaking data. You're not caught off guard with that deer in the headlights look. Pass it off to one of my colleagues to get technical here now that I've made a mistake with the first part of the PowerPoint. So we'll go from there.
Thank you, Jim. So I think we try to help you understand that these are the solutions that we're trying to provide you. The reason you want to go with IBM is that we have a total comprehensive solution. What you're looking for is a platform, an end-to-end solution that can both work both on-premise as well in the cloud in a hybrid environment. Right? So we have components that will help you deliver what we just talked about. It's really a lot of the infrastructure. Right? So we start about at the very beginning. We talked about your data quality. You've got to understand your data before you start analyzing. You can't make good decisions, and you know this if you don't have good quality data. So a foundation of what we have is going to be able to help you understand your data, clean it up, make sure that it's consistent in the formats that you want so that you understand where the data came from, how the data got to you, and if you have questions about what the data is or where it came from, you have the ability to drill back into where those operational systems will tell you where it came from. We have a strong platform to integrate on your operational systems to bring all that information into this system to do the cleansing and integration of all that information and put it into a very robust, high-performance, scalable platform for your analytics. And then an analytical platform that allows you both very high-powered analytics from a very deep analytical person to the very casual user to the dashboards for the executives. So that's kind of the overall vision of what IBM is able to bring. So here today, myself, I'm more on the data side. We've got different people here to show different parts of it. I'm going to focus on the data. Mike's going to focus on the database side of things. And Dennis is going to focus on the analytics. So we're going to kind of show you five different areas. We're going to do some data profiling, show you the data that you gave us, understand the data. Again, you've got to understand, make sure it's good quality. You talked about the ability to make sure that the privatized data is not being pushed out or being shown to people that need to see it, even internal within your organization. Mike will then go into the Dash DB, which is in the cloud, and then Dennis will show you the Watson Analytics and Cognos mobile. Okay. All right, so the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is our discovery tool. Or before you do any analysis, we want to look at your data. The good thing about it is I thought your data was fairly clean, at least the sample size that you gave us. First thing is I took in all your data, brought it in, and the first thing is we do something we call classifications. Do you know where your sensitive data is in all your systems? You probably have hundreds of databases. Can you tell me where's social security number, where's credit card number? If you don't know that, that's what our tool does. When we scan the data, we automatically classify. I told you, we found, here's this column in this particular table, this is where we found social security number and driver's license. So you tell us a list of all your sensitive data elements, and we can start helping you discover where it is, because you can't mask the data and protect it if you don't know where it's at. Okay? So this is a basic data profiling of your data. We can take a look at your data. You see every column, all the information. Some statistics you might want to see, how many null values. If a lot of values are empty, you can skew results. If you've got a lot of zeros in your data and you're basing your data, you don't have a good statistical sample, then right away how good you can make a good decision upon that. So again, you've got to understand a little bit about your data. Now the data quality and the way the format is very important too. So I could just pick any field here, one of my, let's take a look. If you want to make sure that you're going to do some analysis on crash types, you can go take a look at all the different types of data, and you want to make sure that all the data is consistent, right? How many ways, I'll just use an example, David like to be represented in many different ways. So as you decide on your data, your domains of your data elements, you want to make sure they're consistent, that everybody agrees upon it, and that they're all being represented the same way. So this is a tool to help show you how the uniformity of your data is so that you've got good data results. So
how easy is it to fix it? If I see David's and I see Dave's right here, can I fix it?
Right, so first thing you got to do is understand it, and then with our data quality tools, we help you build rules that then will build consistent data, so it's in a consistent format.
So it becomes part of the ETL process, you're saying?
That's right, right. So another example is I showed you the value frequency. Let's look at the patterns. Another look at it is like how well is my social security being formed, or for example, maybe like phone numbers. You have dashes, you have parentheses, right? If you want to make sure your data is consistently represented, looking at how the pattern of how the data is being represented gives you some insight. What you will see here is that all your social security numbers were pretty consistent in how the patterns of all they're all numeral, they're all numbers there with dashes in the right place. You know, I think pretty much 100%. Otherwise, too much stuff going on in that system. All right, so I'll just cancel that. In the interest of time, hopefully this gives you an idea. First thing that you got to do is understand your data. Now, notice here that I've got to protect my data. So, you know, I loaded this into a DB2 database, so you know, we can connect to a SQL Server database. We can connect it to the cloud. And I'm going to show you our solution called Optum. This is what our data masking is. One of the capabilities that Optum has is our doing the masking data. Now I know where the sensitive data is. I want to apply a masking policy to that to de-identify any of that information. And what I did through a process was I extracted the data, masked it, loaded it back into the database. And then I will just show you kind of the results of that. What you want to do is be able to see. So I just took 100 rows here. And here you can see maybe a better format is for every record, what I did was this is the before and this is the after. So this is the actual social security numbers, these are the actual drivers for social security and the actual driver's license. And anything in bold and italicized, once we ran it through the tool, we change that value. It still looks like a social security, it still looks like a driver's license, if that's what you want. You have it, obviously, I think in the other examples that you can just delete that data from being presented in the cloud. But this is very important, especially in your test environments where a lot of your testers, developers, most clients are just cloning their production databases and using that for their development. And now you expose all your developers to the sensitive data that can see each other's information. So what you want to be able to do is de-identify and mask that information even in non-production environments. Okay, so I think that's giving you an idea of some of the back-end stuff that we can do to...
What kind of performance impact does this have?
Performance?
Yeah, how does this, it sounds like this takes a lot of processing. I've got 100 terabytes of data. I've got to de-identify a lot of records.
Yep, that's a very, especially the big data warehouse. And so what we can do is we can put our masking policies inside the database. We call them user-defined functions. And so we use SQL and get the full parallelization of the database to mask everything in the database. So the data never moves, it stays right in the database and we mask it. So no problem on that.
Does that fit in the cloud? I saw this as a desktop app, but we have our data in the cloud. It all works together or not?
We can do this on-prem or in the cloud. Part of our DataWorks capabilities has a masking on the Bluemix platform. You can decide to bring in a masking service to build that into your application if you want, or run this in the cloud.
Well, what's the best practice? Should we do this before we move it up to the cloud?
Absolutely. You want to keep all the data, all your sensitive data inside your production systems. Do not let anything of that go outside. So anytime it leaves, you mask it, de-identifying sensitive information before it goes out, whether that's in the cloud or on-prem. Okay, so now Mike is going to go ahead and kind of talk a little bit about the database.
So, as Dave mentioned, after you clean up your data, masking the sensitive information, one of the options you have is to put it in the cloud. And the offering that we have in the cloud is DB, which is a data warehouse in the cloud. And this is going to address some of those IT constraints that Jim talked about in terms of reducing some of your costs, reducing some of the workload on your core DBA in the back end. So many of the benefits match any cloud offering to reducing your costs, again, letting us manage the infrastructure. You worry about your data, the analytics, and solving business problems with insights you get from us. Elasticity, scalability, so everything. So you use as much compute power as you need, and you pay as you go, you pay as you need it. Some of the differentiators of DB in particular are that it's very, very fast. It performs very well, and I'll get into that in just a few minutes here. And it also works with many of the BI tools out there on the market today, and Dennis is going to show a couple of those after I'm done here. So when you log in here, this is going to be your welcome screen in the DB. You have a few different ways that you can load your data. Through the initial load your data thing, or there's some options on the side here. So you can load your data, there's different sources you can load data from, right? So you can load your data from desktop, from different cloud sources, where your data might be stored. Because of time restrictions today, we preload the data. I'll show you through running some simple SQL statements, just a simple count. You can see that we loaded all 907,000 million records in less than two tenths of a second. So it's performing very quickly.
This is in the cloud?
This is in the cloud, yeah.
Dang, that's fast.
Mike, did you compare that back to our SQL Server?
Yep, in our previous discussions, TC mentioned that, correct me if I'm wrong.
It'd take me a lot longer just to write the SQL statement.
Well, that's DC though. So.
He said he doesn't write SQL well.
Boom!
And so I ran another SQL statement here. Again, you can see the performance. I ran a sum of all litigation costs where your weather conditions are not clear. So any bad weather conditions, rain, snow, throughout those 1 million records in less than 2 tenths of a second again, you find that you're spending almost 8.8 billion over the course of 3 years on those litigation costs. So as you can see, it's very easy to load your data into this product. The performance is unmatched by any in the industry. And Dennis here is going to show you a little bit how it can connect into some other BI tools on the marketplace.
There's a dog.
All right, so look, during our initial meeting, we were talking.
competition.
As you guys mentioned it, you had some struggles getting more insight into your data set. It was very hard for you guys to go through all that data and having a complete understanding of what was going on with the litigation cases and why it was costing you guys so much money. So we were able to load that data within the cloud environment into DashDB, and we were able to connect it to Watson Analytics, crunch through that million rows of data, and instantly provide some insight. Right? We identified there were problem areas based on a specific county within the Long Island, understanding what's happening there, accidents that's based on weather conditions, repair costs. A lot of the accidents happens to be rear end accidents as opposed to anything else. So, or your drivers are running into people versus people hitting them. So perhaps there's a problem with the drivers. And before I move on, everything that I'm talking about today, the Cognos and Watson Analytics, is entirely cloud-based that we have, and you can access it via the cloud 24/7, and also very mobile-friendly. You've mentioned that it would be very nice to have this out to your people, to your executives, CEOs, CIOs, that you guys can access this. So I can just pass this around to some of you guys take a look at the dashboard and the information that we can provide.
Wow! Check this out!
All of this data is very nicely put out dashboard that you can access anywhere, whether you're buying a coffee in line at Starbucks, in front of your desk, on the train, what have you. So it'd be very nice to be able to gain access and insight into the information on exactly how Fluber is performing at this point in time. And the key insight that we drew out was that we've mentioned that the accidents actually happen mostly on clear days. So that kind of leads me down the path, whether I'm an analyst or data scientist, and wondering why these accidents are happening on a clear weather day compared to something like a cloudy or a rainy day. So what we can do was that we're able to pass that information into our advanced analytics algorithm and have maybe perhaps to start thinking that it is not associated with weather that we're having these accidents, but these accidents, but perhaps it's the quality of your drivers that you're hiring. So we just quickly take a look at this dashboard. What we're able to identify is this is typical of how you would hire a driver, right? Based on their experience over here on the top left quadrant, and what their qualifications are, whether they're driving a Fluber X, Fluber Black, or Fluber Taxi. And typically, this would be my most likely candidate I would hire, right? Because he's the most experienced. But as we run it through the algorithms and the data, it's actually saying that he actually has a very high propensity for an accident, a chance of accident, almost 20%. So every time he gets out 1 out of every 5 times he gets out in the road, he has an accident, Right? You don't want him to be on your road because he's going to increase your costs for repair damages, litigation costs, and a whole bunch of other costs.
Is this a real person? Do you have this guy's name, Eric?
No, this actually was cleaned through our data cleansing. So this is a random name that was generated. But this is just one way that we can apply our advanced analytics into how we can better help you optimize and run your business. Right? Take a look at things from different angles, get new insights. You know, not just make decisions based on your gut or bias where it says, oh, it must have happened because it was snowing outside. But perhaps think about it that it was the driver who has a really bad driving history. And you should do a much better job of profiling your drivers. So with that being said, we can gather this information, we can generate very nice executive reports that we can send out, burst out. You've mentioned that you guys are unable to get access to the information when you want it and when you need it. So this is just a very simple example of a report that we can send out on a scheduled basis whenever you need it. So then every day you would know exactly how your business is performing and where the trouble areas are, which leads us into the social insight. You guys mentioned, Jonathan, you mentioned that there was a huge fiasco with an accident with Uber, and you didn't find out about it until it was tweeted. It's very embarrassing. So we're able to bring that insight into there on a daily report on what's going on. You can perhaps direct some people from your organization to take a look at a problem that's really hot right now, whether it's geographic location or some other issue that's happening.
This is super interesting, but I just got to make you guys aware that we do have another report.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Let's finish, if you don't mind. If you got a few more minutes, let's finish.
Yeah, just to wrap it up, I mean, once we can do full sentiment analysis off of the Twitter feed. We have partnerships that's coming with other social media outlets, whether it's Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, weather data, what have you. So we can grab this information and we can see exactly how we're performing, what people are saying about us, what areas where we need to address. So just very nice to have this information so you won't be caught off guard the next time you're doing an executive review. So to wrap it all up, so we kind of took you down the journey of where your data, right, any analytics project, any major project within your organization, it really all starts with the data. Because without data, you're just another man with an opinion. So we took that data, we cleansed it, we put it in the cloud where it's very fast and accessible, address your cost issues, fed it into Watson Analytics, able to gain insights, through a million rows of data within a minute, right? Things that we had no idea about because we're coming into this without really any background. But we're able to identify that there are some key issues with your business within your drivers, apply some analytical algorithms behind that, look at it from different angles and ways instead of just basing decisions off of our gut instinct. Now we're able to make a data-driven decision and just help you grow and accelerate your business.
Thank you.